Welcome back to my channel, my friends. We are going to be covering the entire astrology for June of 2023. We're going to cover the sun's transit, ingresses, degree shifts that I believe are going to be important to pay attention to. And then we're going to be going week by week to see what are the most important things that I believe you should be paying attention. Let's get right into it. The sun is starting out June 1st in Gemini. Happy birthday to all the Geminis out there. The sun is going to be transiting through 10 degrees in the beginning of the month, all the way up until 29 degrees. Whenever the sun is transiting through Gemini, this is opening us up in our mindset. We are paying a lot of attention to our mental attitude. We're paying attention to connecting. It also brings a social side out of us. And also because Gemini's opposite sign is Sagittarius, the signs always work with each other. This is going to be a time where I believe that we are going to be diving a little bit deeper into what it is that we are actually believing at this time. We're learning a lot during Gemini season, especially this one, about the way in which we think. And we're trying to sort of solve maybe some problems or challenges, or what I'm seeing for a majority of us during this Gemini season is that we are going to kind of backtrack a little bit to an old story that we are trying to find the solutions to. Now, June 22nd, the sun is going to be transiting into Cancer. It moves from 0 all the way up until 9 degrees. Happy birthday if you're listening to it at this time to all of the Cancers out there. 0 to 9 degrees, this is going to be a way in which we're going to finish up the month on emotions that are coming up personally that we want to do something about, and the definition of success. June 5th, Venus moves into Leo. This means our relationships are shifting into a confident, loyal, and the themes of big passion energy. This is big energy, okay? Venus likes to be in the sign of Leo. This is going to be a very passionate time. And actually, Venus is going to stay in Leo for quite some time. We are going to be having a Venus retrograde here, also in the sign of Leo. So this is the beginning stages of us really discovering what it means to feel confident in our relationships, what it means to feel like we have a loyal plan even in our relationships. Moving on to June 11th, Pluto moves back into Capricorn. We are going to be revisiting an old story here. That is an old structure, an old sort of belief, because we are going to be in the story of Gemini and Sagittarius with the sun moving and transiting through this. The beginning of this has to do with us having a lot of aha moments around a past story. It almost feels like when I'm taking a look at this, it almost feels like we're going to come full circle to a particular story that had a lot of power in our life, or it was connected to some kind of authority. A big sort of regeneration is going to come up with this as well. We are going back to this story so that we can regenerate an aspect we have forgotten about. Or June 11th, Mercury moves into Gemini. Our communication style is going to be fast, funny, and also gossip-filled. Send help, okay? Gossip-filled is definitely a good way to define this particular Mercury and Gemini transit. It's going to be a fast one, but it's definitely going to be a time where gossip may come up. This is also a time whenever Mercury is in Gemini where screenshots of things are flying through the message world, okay? So there might be some news that you're getting or things that you hear about, screenshots that you're receiving that are provoking a new conversation, that are provoking sort of a new way in which you are viewing things. Now, it also comes with a versatility. There is a big versatility sort of theme that is coming with this particular Mercury in Gemini, and that's what I'm seeing for the month of June of 2023. June 16th, Uranus moves to 21 degrees in Taurus. This is huge because we are moving from an area where we felt like things were shaking us kind of awake at 20 degrees to 21, where we are breaking through, making our dreams come true. I didn't mean for this to rhyme, okay? But we are going to be working on making something true in a real way. At 21, we are going to be working on breaking away from old patterns with themes that Uranus is going to bring into our lives, where we get a chance and an opportunity to do things in a way that allows for us to move towards something really new, but it comes with a very real way. And this is very important to take note of. So it starts on June 16th. June 26th, Mercury moves now into Cancer, and this is where our communication style receives a lot more mental power, and it comes from emotional memory. So whatever it is that we are going to be communicating about at this time, it's going to be really important to us how we actually also feel. What is the feeling behind the words? We're deeply invested in conversations and thoughts at this time. So we're moving through that Mercury in Gemini fairly quickly with receiving a lot of information. And then we sort of come into this Mercury in Cancer, and we're now communicating on how that makes us feel, how things actually feel, how our emotions are around it. And so definitely worth paying attention to as we're finishing up this month. Now, the next thing I am going to be moving through is every single week. We are going to be taking a look at the most important transits. So this is where, I always highly recommend that you guys take out your calendar if you want to kind of just jot down like what exactly is going to be happening. This is the way astrology helps me. That way I kind of prep for some of the themes that might be coming up, and it helps me to navigate through some of the themes that are coming up and kind of paying attention to, gaining more awareness in my own chart. So if this is something you're into, I highly recommend to stop and pause right here, go get whatever it is you need in order to take these notes, because we're diving right into the week by week rundown. The first week in June, it is going to start May 29th through June 4th. This is when the sun is going to be transiting from 8 degrees to 13 degrees. It's a big week because this is the full moon week. The full moon in Sagittarius is going to unfold at 13 degrees. Make sure you check out my full moon video. Now, this full moon is exciting. It is shocking. It is also mind-blowing, a little bit entertaining, and it brings the best humor and sarcasm. That is what I'm seeing at this time. There is an ability to make fun of a situation that is unfolding. There is more to this full moon, but this is just an overall brief sort of recap on what this full moon is all about. Now, moving on this particular week, there is also June 4th to 5th, a Mercury conjunct Uranus aspect that is happening that's really important to pay attention to, happening at 20 degrees. This is a fast energy. This is a fast thinking energy. For some of us, it is going to be a slap in the face with some kind of news that is coming up. Because it is at 20 degrees, it involves relationships. So there is sort of a highly intuitive and intelligent moment that is coming up here, where we are getting flash insights into anything that involves relationships at this time. This is a really interesting one to pay attention to. Let me know how things are unfolding during this week. The positives, the upside of this particular week is that we're going to have the ability to think on our toes, ability to quickly understand what's going on. This can involve world news, events. Due to the high degree, there is an ability to respond fairly quickly. And so that is the upside. The downside of this particular transit is going to be that there is some unexpected aspect to it. Uranus comes always with sort of a shock value. And so there is sort of the slap in the face kind of news. Scattered energy might come out of this. You may jump to conclusions. That's another downside of this. So make sure that you are understanding all the pieces of information and you're not maybe reacting to things quickly, because there might be more to the story. Moving on to week 2, June 5th through the 11th, the sun in Gemini is going to be transiting through 14 all the way up to 20 degrees. This is going to be a week of a big understanding on something in our day-to-day that needs to shift at this time. It is going to come with this last quarter moon phase, and that is happening on June 10th. This week, there's a lot that's happening. I'm not going to cover all of the transits, but what I believe is going to be really important to pay attention to is June 10th and June 11th. June 10th is the last quarter moon in Aquarius. This last quarter moon is strong. I want you to know that this is a very important last quarter moon because we are always integrating that moon cycle when we come to that last quarter moon aspect. And so this is going to happen in Aquarius at 19 degrees. It's strength by understanding a complex situation. So wherever Aquarius is unfolding for you, this is when you're going to be able to take a look at the way in which your mindset is applied in correlation to a complex situation in your life that you need to understand by actually having a different kind of point of view or staying a little bit more detached from it. And that is why this last quarter moon is brilliant for it. This is a strong last quarter moon because it has the ability to make sense of situations where you questioned a sense of belonging. Maybe there is an aspect of your life that you didn't know whether it really belonged in your life or not. And this is where this last quarter moon is showing you have to open up to a level of self-worth where something may or something may not belong moving forward. So that is sometimes not easy, and we have to always come from the heart, right? So this last quarter moon is kind of bringing this into our periphery. What is really great is that June 11th, Mercury is going to form a trine to Pluto, where we are getting more understanding. So it backs up this last quarter moon inquiry of us making an understanding of a complex situation, and conversations now open up more in depth. There is a great sense of control. Whenever we have Mercury trine Pluto, there is a great sense of control of yourself, the ability to make an impact. Self-coaching energy is something you can think of whenever we have a Mercury trine Pluto. So an incredible breakthrough kind of way in which we are ending the week. There is an aha moment that is coming with this. Also important to note that June 11th is the day where Pluto leaves Aquarius and Mercury enters Gemini, which I covered a little bit in the beginning of this video, but that is the week where all of this is happening. And so we're closing out this week with a sense of us having a big understanding of something that is really important in our life that seemed complex for a while. Week 3, June 12th through the 18th, we are going to have the sun transit through Gemini from 21 to 27 degrees, a strong week. This is a very strong week. Why am I saying that? Whenever we have something from 21 to 27, we're starting the week out with a very actionable, action-oriented sense. We are bringing our awareness on decision making, which brings me to June 14th. That is when the balsamic moon in Taurus is going to be unfolding. It is at 8 degrees. So at this point, we are going to bring a decision making or some kind of choice that we didn't maybe even realize that we are now wanting to make. We're considering an entire new option though. This balsamic moon is coming with a new option. This has to do with increasing self-worth, increasing determination, increasing also money, or some kind of productivity that comes with this. What I think is going to be really important is that the next day, Mercury is going to square Saturn. And this shows me that whatever determination that we are putting into the forefront now, whatever focus and goal we have, this is sort of going to be on steroids, okay? Whenever we have Mercury square Saturn, there is a success and goal oriented focus. This is like getting your calendars out, inviting the people over that are working with you into an office meeting or into a meeting, and let's get to work, okay? New deadlines get created. We are getting shit done mode is activated. And so this is maybe not a good day to do something that is very, maybe heart driven, I would say, because This is just about organization and firing off sort of what needs to get done. Mercury square Saturn sometimes can bring a little bit of this cold kind of working environment. So make sure you watch out for that. And don't get hung up on it, okay? The energies never last. We always pass through them. What's also important this particular week is that June 17th, Saturn starts its retrograde phase. It stations at 7. It will go all the way back to 0. And then it'll go direct November 4th. 2023. So from June 17th of 2023 until November 4th of 2023, Saturn is going to be retrograding here. And what's the key aspect for me here with this is that we have to have faith now, leaning a little bit more into uncertainty. But how do we do it? It is with learning through what Saturn is bringing to us, that we need to master some kind of a way to lean into the work that we're doing, because Saturn brings some kind of work attached to it, or some kind of sets of responsibilities, or a set of you feeling accountable for something in your life. So Saturn brings this up where, it's showing us what we need to learn about work ethics, what we also need to learn on how to get through the times in our life where we feel like we don't have something to hold on to. When, shit really hits the fan, like how do we move through that? What is the faith aspect of that? What is the spiritual aspect of that? How do we really cover the big why? And that is what I believe that we are going to be strengthening when it goes all the way from 7 to 0 degrees, which is a very interesting, transit for me. And I'm definitely going to be paying attention more to this and keep you guys updated. But I feel that this is going to be a time where we are really asked to protect ourselves and our work ethics in a new way, which can be exciting. Okay, if you don't like Saturn, I totally get it. Don't come for me. Okay, Saturn is not an easy planet to deal with. I get it. I have a strong Saturn placement in my chart, but I do feel that this is a time where we can get spiritually so rewarded to sticking to the things that we, really believe in. Now, of course, the next day we are going to be starting that new moon in Gemini. New moons usually are a little bit quiet the day that it starts, but make sure you check out my new moon video where I'm going to be covering the tarot and the numerology for your specific sun sign and rising sign and moon sign, of course. But let's move on to what else is happening. June 18th, the sun is going to be squaring Neptune. This is obviously going to come with this new moon energy. What I do believe that this energy is going to bring us for the next couple of days, at least until we end sort of the month of June, is that Sun square Neptune gives us a signal that we need to chill out for a moment. We need to quiet things down. Whenever we have a Sun square Neptune situation, this is a timeout energy. We may need to chill out and not do much. Every single time I see a Sun Neptune square, it's sort of like, okay, we have to pause for a moment because things are catching up and we need a moment to understand it. We need space in order to receive what has been happening. It's not that Sun square Neptunes are bad, but there is a value in not putting the watts out, okay? Not putting all this energy out and not giving yourself a time where you are backing off. And so from the 18th until about the 19th, that Sun square Neptune says, you got to deal with something here that comes up that could feel discouraging. It could feel like you're down on yourself. It could feel like you're not taking things seriously enough in your life, which is not true, because sometimes what happens with Sun square Neptune is it brings us a great contrast to check in with ourselves. The sun is our wholesome energy. Neptune comes in here and says, there might be a value here for you by paying attention to where you feel disappointed in your life, you may have to work those energies out. Something comes up where you could be looking at a situation, looking at a particular circumstance and go, I'm not doing enough. What I'm doing is not producing enough or stuff like that. And it could be an emotional sort of, 48 hours. So try not to take things too serious on this day, even though those types of emotions could come up, okay? What happens then also is June 21st, we're moving now into week 4. This is when June 19th through the 25th, the sun in Gemini is going to finish up its transit, starts out at 28 in the beginning of the week. Then the sun moves all the way into Cancer season, 3 degrees. And so this particular week, the sun enters Cancer on the 21st. And then we have that waxing moon in Taurus at 15. So things start to kind of, move forward, okay, with the Sun square Neptune energy. However, we're still being sort of guided with this moon cycle, this waxing moon cycle in Taurus, to go there slow, okay, to move into that direction into the week a little bit slow with caution. Because not only do we start the week out with a Sun square Neptune, but we're also June 25th going to have a Mercury square to Neptune. The day feels like a little bit hard to start, okay? Hard to start out the day. Things feel a little bit down. Feelings are catching up, but our mind is maybe not so ready for all of that, okay? We're facing some kind of a chatter internally. Also, really good day. If you can avoid social media, do it, okay? This is a time where you might just go onto social media and you just you can't handle it, okay? That is sort of that kind of an energy. Now, June 25th, that's when Mars squares Uranus. That's when it starts. Everything feels a bit like of a giant mess, or it's annoying, and something comes off in a way where you're like, this is really annoying, or you're trying to get out of the house and you're spilling the coffee on yourself. And this is sort of like, okay, now I need to go change my outfit and all of my laundry is in the laundry basket. Nothing is washed. That is that kind of energy. If you're running into that, I just want you to know it's normal, okay? You just need to realize that this is just a moment of life right now where there could be some kind of resistance coming up. It might not have anything attached to it. It might just be like one of those days and you feel like you're not getting a moment to catch up. This can be that kind of restless energy. Mars is our energy and action. So when it squares Uranus, sort of like Uranus is like, hey, we got to pay attention to something else. And it's scattered, restless energy. And everyone, including yourself, kind of feels on edge. So just be mindful of that, Make sure that when your boss calls you in or something happens that you've forgotten about, you've forgotten to turn something off in your house and it's sort of like scatter energy, just take a moment to slow things down and just realize it's just a moment that you're going to get through. Now, moving into week 5, June 26th, all the way until July 2nd. This is when the sun finishes its transit. This is when the sun is climbing up in Cancer from 4 to 10 degrees. This is going to be a time, I think, when things are starting to stabilize. Now, the beginning of the week, we are going to have a first quarter moon in Libra. It is at 4 degrees. We are worried about relationships at this time. Okay, so there is sort of a relationship letdown, breakdown. It starts internally first, or the relation to a specific subject in our life where we're like a little sensitive around it. That is how the week starts, but we are stabilizing the couple days after, which is the good news. June 28th through the 29th, the sun now trines Saturn, recovering us quickly, okay? We're stabilizing, we're realizing what is best for us at this time. We're realizing what's been in the way. We have had that moment to process, okay? Move through our emotions. And then the waxing moon in Scorpio on the 29th, which is at 23 degrees, it strengthens our ability to accept fully. Super good energy here, and move on to something where we're rising above this other energy that we feel like we need to kind of let go. We didn't expect things to go the way that they needed to. Yeah, so we're moving on and everything sort of happens for a reason. That kind of aha moment comes in June 30th when the sun conjuncts Mercury. This is a brilliant sort of news, a brilliant aha moment, a brilliant moment of communication between you and somebody else that brings sort of this, everything happens for a moment and things are looking up again. Okay, super great energy here. Mercury will then also trine Saturn, kind of backing all of this up. There's a strength in communication. There's a strength in like, I can see where things are going now. And then June 30th, we're finishing up the month with Neptune in Pisces at 27, going into the retrograde phase. It's going to stay in retrograde for 159 days from June 30th until December 6th. All the way back to 24 degrees. We're going to talk a little bit more about it as the months progress. And that is what we have for the month. Last thing I'm going to do is we're going to pull 3 tarot cards, one for Venus, relationships, one for Mars, our action, where to best focus, anything we need to know. And then the third one, communication. So let's get into it. Our Venus card is the 8 of Cups. Wow, this is a big time of us realizing that there are certain situations in our relationships or how relationships in general that we're attached to. This doesn't have to be one specific one. It could be several people or a group of people. We are getting ready to make a decision to walk away and do things different. There is some kind of energetic cut that we need to do. And it's becoming more and more obvious. That's what I'm seeing that the June kind of energy is bringing to us. There is a sense of us figuring out that there's something that is not fitting into the picture. It doesn't belong here. And so the 8 of Cups is communicating that. Moving on to Mars, our Mars card is the Page of Swords, which is really backing up everything we just talked about. Relationships right now are a very big focal point, and there's a lot of shifts that are happening within relationships where we're getting communication, we're figuring things out, we're figuring out also where people are not being truthful. The Page of Swords is bringing that into the periphery. That the action this month has a lot to do with doing things different, but also saying different things. Opening up, communicating in a way where we're a little bit more straightforward, we're a little bit more courageous to communicate in a way where we know it's coming from our heart. And I think that that is something really important to keep in mind for this month. The last card is going to be the 4 of Pentacles. Communication right now is going to be about protection. We're trying to protect ourselves because there is going to be a lot of moving pieces. There are sort of like the same old kind of energy, but then also us realizing that we're wanting to do things very different. So the 4 of Pentacles basically says that we're trying to protect ourselves. There's a part of us that we're trying to figure things out. And if you are in the place where you cannot trust something because it's sort of coming up in your intuition, the 4 is a strong intuitive number. The Pentacles have to do with your worth. And so if you feel like there's something that is coming towards you, you cannot rely on it, and that is the intuition, it's something to follow this month. It's definitely something to follow this month because right now things are molding and shifting, and it is going to be like this until about September. So if there are relationship dynamics you're trying to get clear about, it is going to take a moment. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some time on how to go about it, how to really move into a confident area where things in your life need to get maybe a little bit more worked out. And so the details of that, we're starting to work out this month. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate every single one of you hanging out with me. Let me know how this month is unfolding. I always love hearing from you guys. Leave a comment below. If you're on the podcast episode version, you can always hop on to YouTube at Aylin Sky Astro, and you can leave me a comment below. I see all of your comments and I will respond back to you guys. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.